Over 40 years in the music industry, and she doesn't look a day over 23. Joining me on the show,
you naughty
Cindy,
boy.
Cindy Alter, formerly from the band Clout, and an illustrious music career since as well. Welcome to RTL SA, and thank you so much for making some time to join us today.
What a pleasure, Noel. This is awesome. I love all these stations that have popped up that are totally on the grid. You know what I'm saying? They just like online and stuff like this. I mean, the whole world has changed, and it's quite spectacular.
Exactly. And I mean, this station was actually born out of a necessity for entertainment during our first strict lockdown. And it just grew so nicely, and we just continued. We just went on. It's been crazy.
I love it. Yeah. Awesome. Good for you. I like to see this. It's enterprising, and it's South African, you know, and we always support local. So good one.
Well, talk about enterprising. You're someone that's reinvented yourself many times over the years, faced many challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I want to unpack a bit of that as we continue, but
Sure.
this piece is unscripted. I don't prep, so to say. I read a lot. But I don't have a list of questions in front of me. So we're just going to talk nonsense for the next few minutes or so. But I do want to ask you a question.
That's my favorite.
Love it. Okay, cool. I do want to ask you a question, though, because it's something that I was introduced to Substitute when I was tiny. My father was a massive fan, and something that's always puzzled me was an all-female band in the time that you guys were at your peak. It couldn't have been easy to be an all-female band.
No. Look, it was a very different time. The late 70s was the start of the women's movement when you think about it. Like, they'd been already, you know, shouting about burn the bra and all that kind of stuff. So the women's movement had already started, and it was spectacular to watch women, young girls, going, yay, girl power, even though I'm not a huge advocate of slogans and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm this and I'm that, and whoa. You know, it's like you don't have to shout about it, just do it. Yeah, that's just been my motto my whole life. But it was really something to watch and to say, look at these chicks, look what they're doing, and anybody can do what they want. You know, we've got the ability to be in a rock band, to just, you know, get a good job, stuff like that, not just be a little secretary in a company or whatever for the rest of my life. So there was that angle, being an all-girl band. And the other angle was we were in a time of absolute staunch apartheid. And for a band to get out of this country was an impossible task. Firstly, nobody was allowed to come in here because then they would be boycotted by their country. Nobody was allowed to leave and go and play in any other country because we would be boycotted anyway. No, you're not allowed here. You are racists, blah, 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 etc., etc. So we had a sort of double-fold challenge in a way, that we were all girls. We were looked at a little bit not seriously in the beginning, even though we were part of this women's movement, but all the guys in the business are, yeah, like boobs and bum, yeah, you know, but we were more than that. So it was an interesting time, I must say.
Well, you certainly were more than that, because I mean, like, Substitute was an international hit. Like, we talk about big charts, we talk about the UK charts and the US charts.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
you guys were definitely a force to be reckoned with. But within the country itself, did you find that there was a bit of a glass ceiling for women, so to say?
I think there's always been a glass ceiling for women, you know. I don't know what it is. I think it is still sort of a slightly chauvinistic way of looking at things. And in South Africa especially, the men are men, we are boys, and the girl is the girl, you know. And it's very much that, and especially also culturally, you know, the males in the Zulus are like I'm the man, and that's it. The Afrikaners as well. I'm the man, that's it. in the Jewish and the Greeks and everybody. So I think it's always been a little bit of a bone of contention. But as I said again, you don't have to scream and shout. You don't have to bang down the walls. You can just quietly sneak in. That's what I found is the way it goes.
Do you think that things have got better for women over the last 20 years or so?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's not as hard. The casting couch is not so prevalent. And it's a choice. I think women have just realized that they have choices. If somebody goes for you, you've got a recourse. You can go back for them. You can lay a charge of sexual harassment, etc., etc., or you can say no. No is a very powerful word. Even if a guy's bigger than you and he forces you and stuff like that, that's a different story. But then hopefully you have some recourse. But then again, that is also like a double-edged sword, because you have a woman who is not getting attention from somebody, and then she goes and reports him for sexually harassing her, but he did not.
Yeah.
So there's such a fine line. The justice system, whether it's women, men, orange, pink, it doesn't matter what it is, the justice system has huge flaws in it.
Well, one day when you run for president, maybe you can fix that up for us. I wanted to ask you, when you guys released Substitute, did you guys think that it was going to be as big as what it was going to be?
No. I mean, we were just these little South African girls. I was 20 when I started in Clout. I was 21 when we recorded Substitute. And we thought, oh, yay, this is such fun. We're going to have a song on the radio. And within like 3 or 4 weeks, it was like bazookas. Everything was happening. And then it was Midam. Midam in Cannes every year was where all the record companies met, swapped new stuff and signed new deals. It was the place to be. And one of the music guys that we knew had taken our song there, and everybody bought it. It just went viral, and there was no such thing as viral in those days. Exactly. So that was how it all happened, and we were totally gobsmacked. The whole thing was like, surprise!
Now, what was it like as a bunch of young girls? And I say girls, I use the term loosely, because obviously you guys were in your 20s, but you're still girls in the industry, so to say. What was it like for a group of young girls to all of a sudden reach this level of stardom and everything that came along with it?
As I said, we just sort of went along with it. We didn't know really what was happening to us. I mean, we'd arrive in a country and there'd be a limo which would pick us up from the airport. And these people were so cool. They were just all music people. And we'd arrive at this beautiful hotel, and there was flowers and fruit and all these things in the room. It was like, wow, this is so cool. And eventually it becomes the norm. You actually not expect it, but it's like, oh, well, this is how it is. Being a pop star at the age of 21 and 22, I understand why so many young stars, be it actors or music people, they get into trouble because this is very overwhelming.
I can imagine. I can absolutely imagine.
It's very overwhelming. You don't know who you are anymore, because everybody on the outside treats you like something special, and you are wow, and you're attractive to everybody, and it's like, and then suddenly you're not.
How did you?
So you're like,
how did your family and close friends or people very close to you react to this all of a sudden? Because I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, it didn't happen like this overnight, and I think for Clout it was like an overnight type of thing. How did your family and your friends respond to this?
I think it was difficult for everybody because suddenly I was away a lot. But I had to, there was a part of me that always had to retain my Cindiness. You know, I had to just always be me. My family never treated me differently. They just treated me the same. They still mocked me and made me feel like an idiot sometimes. My friends, that was what I lost along the way because I was traveling so much. I wasn't connected to the people.
Yeah,
here
you didn't
so
have
much
WhatsApp
anymore.
and Facebook and all that stuff back then.
Exactly. Nothing. I mean, if I was going to call my family or something, I had to go to the hotel and book a trunk call to South Africa at a certain time, etc., etc. And there was no way I could tell them. I couldn't even fax them, you know.
Yeah. What was the relationship amongst the five of you at that time? Did you guys just get on all the time, or was there any drama, or you know, how did you guys progress through that period together?
Well, everybody expected, oh my God, 5 girls, cat fights, woo!
That's what I would have thought.
Of course you would have, because you're a man. Listen, I love men. Men are my thing, you know. It's like I like
awesome.
Men.
We're awesome.
So I don't mind, but I'm not going to mud wrestle because a guy wants me to, you know. So,
No, fair enough.
So,
We prefer
enough.
oil.
Yes, oil's very nice. I like oil too. Yeah, we were actually all very straightforward South African sort of poppies, you know. We all came from good backgrounds, as in normal homes, so to speak. None of us, we weren't competitive. You know, it wasn't like, I want to be better than you and I want the limelight. There was an unfortunate thing that happened is that because I was the lead singer, I got a lot of the attention. Like if there was going to be a poster of the band or something, it would have maybe been me. If there was going to be an interview, they would call me. You know, if they were going to put someone on the cover of a magazine, it would have been me. And I do think that might have been a bit tough for the girls. I actually spoke about that in my book. I think that must have been, but I did not seek it out. It found me.
It comes with the territory, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely.
Where are all the girls now? What happened to the band as time went on? I know you continued with a music career. What about some of the others?
Some of them did as well. Lee, our bass player, was the first to leave. She left sort of when things were falling apart because, you know, we weren't getting paid. We weren't getting any remuneration for what we were doing, and we were working so hard, and we could see that the interest was waning, management-wise, stuff like that, and that was very hard to deal with, and that was what caused problems in the band. Never any of us sort of trying to do something. So Lee left the band, and we got Gary Van Sale in, who was with the band Circus. And he was brilliant, great bass player. But we'd already had 2 guys in the band. Then, actually, Glenda was the first to leave when we came back from our first tour. She was getting married, so she left. Then Lee left. Then Jenny, our guitarist, left. And then Ingi said, well, I'm going to Germany to get married with my husband and blah, blah, blah. And I was sort of the last one standing.
Which is
and I didn't want to
the title of, isn't that the title of your latest album? Last One Standing. We'll talk more about that. No. But okay, you mentioned the record company, and I know you've spoken quite a lot about it, or your management not really looking after you. And unfortunately, that story is too familiar with a lot of bands in that time. What are the key learnings?
And now,
even now, yeah. But this is what I wanted to ask you. What are the key learnings that you took away back then that you could possibly impart onto a new artist coming into the scene now, specifically with regards to the way the record companies and management treated you back then, and what they can look out for today?
It's actually a very complex question, because firstly, the thing is called the music business. Business. So the record companies and all these guys, they want to see money. They want to see turnover, you know, and if the band is not turning over, sometimes they'll drop the band or whatever. So as a new artist, please make sure that you do know what business is about. Don't be the like artist, man, like I just want to play music and write songs, you know. Hey, what a vibe. I'd love that if that was available to me. But don't be that person. Be smart. When I do talks about music, I mentor young kids and stuff like that. When I do talks, I always say your ultimate weapon in this business is knowledge. So know how to read a basic contract. Yes, you could take it to a lawyer, etc., etc. But also, as I said, it's very complex because things change all the time. With the digital world, it's just a totally new. Like, how do you monitor every single hit? Every single digital download, every blah, blah, blah. They've got people that are just doing that are sitting in an office, there's programs, and they're monitoring everything. But who knows where the pirated stuff comes, you know? Yeah. So it's so, as I said, complex. But use your absolute best weapon, and that is knowledge. Know what you're doing, what you're signing. Don't just be stars in your eyes and say, oh, well, I just want to be a star. Because I promise you, stars only come out at night and they burn out. So
it's funny you mentioned that, because I've got a trivia question which relates to stars today. But I'm going to bounce that off you in just a little bit.
I heard that.
I want to ask you about your book. No Substitute, was it called?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the book. What was the thinking behind it and the inspiration behind it?
It was a long time coming, because I was living in America in the 90s till 2005. I moved there in 1990. I was living in LA, and nobody really knew me. There was a few people that knew of me. There were a few South Africans that knew of Cindy Alter. But when I went there, I reinvented myself completely. I was not Cindy from Clout, Cindy from Zia, Cindy from anywhere. I was just Cindy Alter, new artist, fresh off the boat, blah, blah, blah. So the people that did know about me were always like, hey, what's the story and what happened to your band and all that stuff. They were always asking about that. But then the people that didn't know me were like, my God, you've got such a great story. Why don't you tell it? So I'd started in America making notes, pulling out photos from my albums, and just like putting things together slowly. And even after that, I forgot a whole ton of stuff when I wrote the book. But the book was really, for me, it was a cathartic journey to just put down the major things that had happened. And hopefully one person will read that and say, oh my God, I went through that, and you can see you can get through it if it happens to you. So a learning tool maybe in some way, but that's not how I looked at it.
Awesome.
You know?
I read somewhere as well that you're also a published poet.
Yes. I've been writing poems since I was a kid. You know, I was always writing stuff. And I was not very fond of the, yes, it's me, I'm up a tree, come with me to divinity. You know what I'm saying? I was never really the big rhyming kind of.
I would give you an award for that.
Oh, thank you. Oh, God, yes. It was so good. I'm so glad. Thanks for admiring my talent.
Your career as a poet has been revived.
Woo! But in America, I wrote a lot, and because of the online thing, people would see it, and I would get published on sites and stuff. And then there was a book like the America's greatest poems of the 90 or whatever it was. And I'd written a poem about my chemo. I called it the glorious poison because it is. It poisons you, but it also cures you. So I'd written this poem about it, and it got into this book. So I've been published, as I said, a few times on sites and stuff, but this was the first publishing in a real anthology of poems. And I believe that all songs that you write are poems, really.
Yeah. Poems that are adapted into a certain format to be
absolutely. And so many people send me that, hey man, I've got this poem, can you make it into a song? And generally you can.
Yeah. If the poet is willing to let you, that's another thing.
And sometimes if the poem is willing to let you.
Yeah, this is also true. Now, your battle with leukemia must have been a really taxing time in your life.
Listen, I tell you, anybody who's going through any kind of illness or health crisis or whatever, we all have just dealt with the COVID thing, even a sort of minor COVID, it still makes you feel absolutely dreadful. It affects your emotional state, it affects your physical state, it goes deep into your body, because your body is really, your body holds on to everything. So any trauma you've ever had in your life and anything that's happened to you, your body holds on to this. And it manifests itself in some other way, I believe. This is just my belief. And it was so challenging. The most challenging thing for me was to surrender, because I didn't know how to do that. When you've actually just got to go, okay, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do here, because you can't go out and get a gun and shoot it. You can't go to a doctor and just say, just fix me, man, because it is an entity on its own and it has a life of its own and you have no control over it. So I had to, in a way, make cancer my friend. I was like, hey, buddy, come with me. Let's go on this journey together. But I want you to know that I ain't letting you win this fight, I'm going to fight all the way. So you might be my buddy, but I'm watching you,
Did you have a good support structure when you were going through that? Close people around you?
Yes, I did, absolutely. I've got amazing friends in America. My sister was there. My little niece had just been born. She was adorable. She'd run into the hospital room and jump on my bed. I looked revolting. I was bald. I had tubes coming out of me all over, and she just didn't care. She just get on the bed with me, hello, and we just sit and talk. So I had a lot of normalcy within that, which was beautiful. But also, it is a solitary journey. Nobody can really do it with you. You have to do the journey on your own. And I didn't want all my friends to go and shave their heads and to be all miserable and, oh God, Cindy's got cancer. I just didn't want that. When they walked in the room, I was like, leave your shit outside the door. I want to just hear, how are you doing? What's going on? Well, how's life? I don't want to go, oh my God, are you okay? How are you feeling? All that drama attached to it.
You don't want to be reminded of it. You want people to sort of distract you from it to a certain degree.
Exactly. It was there, no matter what. It was the elephant in the room, and there was no way getting around that.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I couldn't pretend it wasn't happening. And that's also a thing that people do. They go, I'm not sick. I haven't got cancer. I'm absolutely fine. And if that's the way you can handle it, more power to you.
Yeah.
But, it's whatever your journey is. And people ask, they do ask, and they say, how did you get through it? And I say, it was my journey. I can't tell you how to get through yours.
Yeah.
I can just say, this is what happened to me. Because they're all different.
Absolutely. Well, kudos to you for fighting it and having that strong approach to it, because it's obviously testimony to the person that you are, which also explains why you've had longevity in the career the way you have. And I want to talk about your new single in just a little bit. But before we do that,
Okay.
we have to get into this trivia thing over here. And
Okay.
what I like to do on a Monday is I like to put you on the spot and see if you know the answer. So, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for it. I think I heard the question earlier and I was totally stumped. I should have quickly Googled it if I'd known you were going to ask
you
me.
should not. Hold that thought.
So the question was about the
with
biggest
Power
star.
Play Trivia.
Yeah, the Power Play Trivia, which is brought to you by Bev Miller. The question was, what is the name of the brightest star in the night sky? Can you guess? Well, I
Wow.
think you might have heard in the intro I said it's not Venus. People came up with the answer
Yeah.
Venus. It's
So
definitely
it's a
not
planet.
Venus. Yeah, but it's also known as the
Yeah.
morning star.
Okay.
Take a guess.
Wow. Sure. It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. Is it not the one we see first in the sky?
The morning star.
You know the nighttime one. And when you look in the sky,
That's
the
the
one that
one.
really is that the
Part of
one?
the dog constellation. Does that give you a clue? Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you out of your misery. I got correct answers from Lauren
Please.
and Bev. The correct answer is indeed Sirius.
I would never have got it.
Okay, well, here's some background information on it as well. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about your new single and I'm going to also play it.
Thank you.
Sirius A, also known as Alpha Canis Majoris, is the brightest star in Earth's night sky. It is located in the constellation Canis Major, the Greater Dog. Hence the name Dog Star. Sirius is a binary star. A binary means a system of two stars in which one star revolves round the other, or both revolve round a common center. Sirius consists of a main sequence star which is called Sirius A, and a faint white dwarf termed Sirius B. The Sirius binary system is approximately 200 to 300 million years old. Originally, the Sirius had two bluish stars, and the present Sirius B was the bigger star. But with time, Sirius B consumed its resources and became a red giant before shredding its outer layers and becoming a white dwarf. That was 120 million years ago. Now, the two stars keep a distance varying from 8.12 to 31.5 astronomical units between them. The distance varies because they orbit every 50 years. Sirius A is twice as massive and 25 times more luminous than the Sun, but it has a significantly lower luminosity than other bright known stars in the universe. It has an absolute visual magnitude of plus 1.42. Sirius appears bright because of its intrinsic luminosity and its proximity to the solar system. At a distance of 8.6 light-years away from Earth, the Sirius system is one of Earth's nearest neighbors. As Sirius is gradually moving closer to the solar system, it is expected to slightly increase in brightness over the next 60,000 years. After that time, it will become fainter but will continue to be the brightest star in the Earth's night sky for the next 210,000 years. Sirius A was first observed by the ancient Greeks. In 1862, American telescope maker and astronomer Alvin Graham Clark first observed the faint dwarf, which is now called Sirius B. In 1868, Sirius became the first star to have its velocity measured. It was the beginning of the study of celestial radial velocities. The diameter of Sirius A was first measured by Robert Hanbury Brown and Richard Q. Twiss in 1959. In 2005, using the Hubble Space Telescope, astronomers found that Sirius B has nearly the diameter of the Earth, with a mass 102% of the Sun's.
Own your piece of RTL by sponsoring a feature.
Burning topic. Bad Joke Friday. In other news, Power Play Trivia.
You will be helping keep RTL on air and building infrastructure for as little as
R300 per week.
have your or your company's name associated with the fastest growing online radio station in the world.
The RTL SA Top 10. Your top three.
Contact RTL for more info on WhatsApp 064 134 0020 or email info@noeljohnson.co.za.
It's time to mass debate on RTL You're listening to Monday Madness.
Join us this coming Monday for Monday Madness. We speak to Cindy Alter from the iconic South African rock band Clout, right here on RTL SA. We get to know her a little bit better, what makes her tick, what she's been up to since. This coming Monday live between 10 and 12 on RTL SA and sacommuter.co.za.
Monday Madness.
RTL SA.
It's the Seventh Heaven radio edit from Last One Standing by Cindy Alter right here on RTL SA. And Cindy, so different, so unexpected almost. But when I heard it the other day, I thought, no, man, I've got to introduce it to my audience as well. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. Well, this was like my new single that I released with my record company, Just Music. I released it in around sort of February, March, and the title track was the new song, The Last One Standing. So I thought it was a very pertinent song. And a guy who was doing a lot of PR for me, lives in the UK, he went to the Seventh Heaven guys. They only mix like original stuff, as in not original songs, but they go to Kylie Minogue and they say, please come and re-sing this. They don't just take things off and just remix it. Yeah. So they've done Katy Perry and Pink and everybody. And he played them this new song and they said, oh my God, and it's Cindy from Substitute, and you had a #2 in the UK. We'd love to do a remix of it. So I thought, okay, I've never done dance like that before. I've never. It was so like, whoa, what you doing, girl? But the way that it came out, and they're going to be playing it in the clubs in the UK, and who knows what can happen. It might go viral and it might not. But it was so out the box for me, and I'm really excited about it because, as I said, it's something different. And you said something earlier that you continuously reinventing yourself. Yeah. You have to in this industry. I'm not trying to hold on to anything. This is not me going, oh, I just want to sort of do this until I can't anymore and blah, blah, blah. This is my path. This is my journey. Music is me and my journey. And so I will just keep doing it ad nauseum until people say, Cindy, get off the damn stage. You and your Zimmer frame.
Well, listen,
bloody bugger off, man.
You're not allowed to go anywhere because just look at YouTube now. Lauren's saying, wow, what a song. And Zelda popping up saying, I agree, Lauren. Wow. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
That's from one listen. So kudos and congratulations. Cindy, lockdown obviously had a massive impact on musicians overall. What impact did it have on you specifically?
I stopped working for the first time in 45 years or whatever. I stopped working. I had no work. I was not singing. Oh, yes, I could have sung at home, but nobody had the gees for that. I didn't. I was like, I have ceased to be. I have rolled down the curtain onto the floor. I'm an ex-singer. And I just think emotionally it just messes with your mind completely because you don't know where to from here. Yeah. A lot of people were doing online shows. I did one or two of them and I just went, nah, it's not for me. And then I started an online chat show that I did with Discover TV. We did that for like a year and a half. That was fabulous because I was talking to all older artists from way back. It was called Where Are They Now? Nice. I was talking to people like Sipo, Hot Sticks and Neil Solomon and Cedric Sampson, nice. PJ Powers, people that have been around, and that was my focus to have that show, and that was probably a saving grace for me that I had something to do. I did write a few new songs. I I watched a lot of Netflix.
I share the sentiment and the pain because I'm still addicted to Netflix because of it.
Absolutely. I'm a big movie buff though. I love movies, and then I started getting into series. It's like, oh God.
Binge watching series is like the best.
Yeah, of course it is.
Especially
and of course I put on,
especially Netflix, especially the Netflix series, because I mean it's only 10 episodes. You can literally binge it in a night.
Exactly, and then you can eat yourself into a coma, which is also fun.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, there were so many cons and so many pros, but I think every single person that you would ever speak to would say the same thing, is that we had to adapt or die. And that's all there is to it. And
I want to lead you in a direction now, because I've got my burning topic as well, which I want to get your opinion on. But
okay,
your thoughts regarding our lockdown and how our government handled our lockdown. Do you think that the restrictions they imposed in the beginning were rational, necessary, important? Further to that, do you think that the current restrictions that we are under do you think it's still rational? Do you think we're doing the right thing? Do you think we're stepping in the right direction?
I am not a fan of our government. I think they have led us down the worst path possible as a country. But, funnily enough, I do think that their restrictions actually were better than some of the other countries' restrictions. Saved us. We had hardly any cases in the beginning. Remember that. Yeah. And Italy was dropping like flies, and UK, blah, blah, blah. And so I think that we've been on the cutting edge of restrictions, where everybody's laughing and saying, oh, you guys are going into lockdown again, recently with the Delta variant. Now they're going in.
Yeah.
And we were first. We went in. We are trying to eradicate it. We started an eradication a while ago. So I have nothing to say bad about that. I think it's saved a lot of lives. I think the people are the ones to blame. Yeah. Right now, males in South Africa are not getting vaccinated. They don't want to get vaccine. They think it'll stop their virility or whatever it is, whatever you believe.
I went for the vaccine. I don't care about virility.
Yeah, you know what? I also don't care about virility right now. There's lots of other things to do, darling.
I covered a piece in my main story today where there's talk now that, and this is a really contentious subject, but there's talk now that Pick and Pay and BP specifically want to start selling alcohol at fuel stations, and it's created quite a stir, which was my burning topic as well. And I want to get your thoughts on the other side of this. But I did put it out for comments today, and this is what one of my listeners had to say.
Morning burning topic. Selling alcohol at the garages. Well, you can basically get anything at the garage, so why not just add alcohol as well? I'm not sure what type of prices you're going to be paying, because the garage stores are very expensive. But if you're desperate, I suppose you can get it from there. I suppose they want to boost up their sales, but yeah. So go fill up your car and have a dope, or buy a dope.
What are your thoughts on that, Cindy? What do you think?
Well, having traveled in Germany extensively from the 70s, where you could always get beer and stuff at the stations, at all the gas stations, it's very much, I think it's based on the population. What kind of collective emotional intelligence goes on in South Africa? Okay. Now, that's a question and a half.
That is
I'm
a big
sure.
question.
But okay. So in Germany, they obey the law. You're not allowed to drink while you drive. So if you buy a case of beer, you have to wait till you get home, or you go to your party or whatever it is, and then you get an Uber home. South Africa is not quite on that. What can I say? I don't want to be derogatory in any way. This is my country. I love this country.
On that same level of social responsibility.
Social responsibility. Consider the way that people drive. Consider the lawlessness of this country. Oh, I'm not going to stop at red robots. Why should I? It's somebody else's law, etc., etc. I think that this country is not ready for anything intelligent like that.
So
I just don't think so.
That's a no from you.
Huh?
That's a no from you.
Yeah, I just don't think they have the responsible gene in their system.
Yeah, I must agree with you on that. I think there's a lot of growing up that needs to be done within the country first.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Although you can
That's
buy
why I said emotional.
you can buy condoms at
Yeah.
the garage. So
But that's a different thing, because you can hump somebody in the car and you don't have to get arrested for that, you know. And you can still drive afterwards.
nice. Well.
Well, maybe. Depends, you know. Some people are out for the count for a couple of hours. That's also okay.
Where to from here, Cindy? What are your plans going forward?
You're right. Where to from here? Like from the conversation or from my life?
Your personal
Oh,
life
my
and
goodness.
career.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. Phew. Okay, so
Oh man, talk about putting you in a spot.
hey man, I love spots. I do. I must admit, I'm always ready for a good spot.
Nice.
You know that I'm very fond of that talk show kind of thing. Very fond of it. I'm talking to someone now with I'm not going to talk about it because nothing is written, nothing is signed, nothing is anything. But it is a possibility that I will get another show, which will be a little bit more bigger spectrum, which I would love.
Online
I don't
or traditional media?
I think it's going to be online as well, because it's going to be on a mobile carrier.
Okay.
So it's going to be that kind of thing. I'd love to get a TV show. That would be my ultimate. I've been pitching a show for the past 5 years. Man, I'd love to do this with the singer-songwriters, with this, with that, because I'm very, very pro singer-songwriter thing. You know, I'm songwriting is like, wow, that's the thing. You write a good song, you got me.
Yeah.
So I think writing is always in my future. Hopefully selling some songs to some people that might take it somewhere. So the show, that is something I'm very keen on. And doing gigs that I really want to do. You know?
Yeah.
Shows more than just, you know, local sort of stuff, but like more shows where I can tell my story and play my songs and say this song was about that, this was about that. People like to get intimately involved in your life, and I've always found that is something that I've cultivated, not intentionally like I'm going to go and make them like me, not in that way obviously, but just I always say to the audience, listen, I'm getting paid to be here, so I shouldn't give a damn. I'll just give you the best show I can. But if you get involved, if you talk to me, if you talk back to me, I'm happiest. Because it means we've got a communication. We are seeing each other. I'm not just there for me.
Well, let me tell you this. I've listened to a few interviews that you've done and whatever, and we didn't really even scratch the surface of the story you have to tell. So if I may say, I think that is something that you certainly should do. I think you should tell your story because you've got an amazing story.
Thank you so much for that, Noel. I think a show telling my story would be really valid, especially now in these times.
Yeah.
You know, I think big stories are always valid, but I think especially now when we're all feeling a bit less than. You know, we're not in our full bloom.
Yeah.
It's we're a little bit wilting flowers. We're trying to find things. And I think this is a good time for me to talk about how I found my things.
Where can people follow you? Where can they get your hands on your book? Where can they get their hands on your new album and things like that?
Okay, everything's all available. Just Music Direct has got my album, my new album. These songs are all available. The new mixes are all available on Apple Music and Spotify and all the usual channels. I'm available Facebook, Cindy Alter Live Entertainment, Cindy Alter page as well. I've got a website, cindyalter.com. Amazon has my book, if anybody wants to get it. And I also have jewelry that I've had made that has words from my songs on it. Yeah, it's just simple, lacquer stuff. Beautiful silver, sterling silver, really beautiful crafted stuff, but very simple with words from my songs on them. So I had a song called Thrive, which a lot of people have kind of latched onto because it's more than surviving. It's thriving, you know, which is the blossoming and the unwilted flower, so to speak. And I've got bracelets with Thrive written on them and stuff like that. So that's available from Cindy Alter Live Entertainment page. Just go to photos and you'll find my jewelry there. You know, I'm out there doing my thing.
Would I be able to get a bracelet with substitutes on it and give it to someone who's already in a relationship?
Listen, you can do whatever the heck you want, darling. And the consequences are purely going to be all on you. So, whatever. I'll make anything for you.
Cindy, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I was so excited when this actually happened. And I'll tell you what, I've been a big fan of yours from day one. I've seen you live as well. And I really look forward to seeing you live again. I see there was some chatter on Facebook about a possible trip down to KwaZulu-Natal sometime.
Well, let's hope we can make that happen. And I also love going to Cape Town. Cape Town's awesome as well.
Love it.
You know, I just love to be around because these people don't get to see me often. So I think it's always lekker to tour. I love a good tour.
Absolutely. And what happens on tour stays on tour.
Absolutely. And nobody ever talks about it. I wrote a little bit about it in my book, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Noel,
Nice.
Thank you for your lovely words. I do appreciate it very much. I am always affected by what people say about me. Not that I look for validation in any way or whatever, and people always tell me how fabulous I am and all that stuff. It's of no use to me as a human being, but you know, when somebody in the industry or something says the words like this and you know that they appreciate what I've done all these years, I so appreciate that. And of course my fans and the people that come and watch me, that is important to me, that I have their love and appreciation.
Well, you are a superhuman, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors going forward, and hope to catch up with you soon on the road.
Thank you kindly, very, very much. And thanks to everybody out there. Keep going. And Janine, thank you for getting me this interview. That was awesome. Thank you. Peace out.
That's Cindy Alter joining us on RTL SA, and I told you it was going to be special, was going to be great.